you today? So, it has been a weird fucking. Oh, I don't have my caption on. Oopsie. Yes, sorry. It has been a weird fucking week for me. So, for this Deaf Awareness Month, I had said I wanted to do 30 videos, but obviously, I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually do that for this Deaf Awareness Month, but I do have I do have a bunch of content still planned. So if I don't get to finish this out in the time frame I want to, you might see me doing Deaf Awareness Month in October content potentially, but we're just gonna consider that in honor of Deaf Awareness Month for September. For the content that I don't get to finish if I don't, but I'm gonna try. I might actually. I'm gonna try to bang out the rest of this. So maybe I will successfully do it, but we will see. So right now it is September 22nd. This is our 15th Deaf Awareness Month video, so I am 7 behind. Um, and the reason I'm behind is because at the same time, so since June, something happened to me in June. And I've alluded to it in my live streams since then, but I've tried very hard and I think I've succeeded in not naming any names or really fully discussing what occurred, you know. Um but something happened to me. I'm trying to do something about it. Um and those next steps have been taking place this week, and so I had to hold off on content production this week because I had to do some things and put my energy elsewhere. I'm not trying to lead you on. I really, really want to tell you about it. I really do. And I've been brainstorming how to do so in a way that would not be negligent or harmful. So I really want to talk about it. I'm going to try to talk about it. Uh, but I can't talk about today. Today we're going to try to focus on Deaf Awareness Month, but I just wanted to mention, that's why I'm late on this content production. Um, and that story, if I can tell it, will come out when I can tell it. Um, so yeah, that's what you need to know about me right now. But moving on. Um, Today it is, we're doing our Deaf Creator Spotlight. This is the third one. And the reason Deaf Awareness Month is so important to me and this Deaf Creator Spotlight is so important to me actually ties back to the thing that happened to me that I can't fucking tell you about. And I'm like, oh my god. Okay, so, but, um, fucking, it's about having accessibility for deaf people and for anybody that needs accommodations. It's about a world in which you're not discriminated against for being who you are. You know what I'm saying? And with the Deaf Creator Spotlight, for me, it's just about acknowledging some of the key players for me who, in my deaf journey, I feel um, their content production was part of guiding me along a path to where I felt I had the grounding and the vernacular and the tools that I need to be able to say, this is who I am. This is why I don't accept your discrimination. This is other people who feel the way I feel. Um, this is people who not only have the same concerns that I do with deaf community, but are also more successful than I think I could ever be. And I love that. Like, I really do. I love seeing these deaf people break glass ceilings and go places that we haven't been before, you know? Um, and so, yeah, that's why I want to honor and highlight these creators who I feel represent deaf community in a way to show you that we are not only just like anybody else, but also the reasons we face oppression are from the society we are assimilated into. It's not because we are less than. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. So today we're going to be talking about Antoine Hunter, Jacelyn Fincher. That's Jacelyn. Jacelyn. It keeps putting Jason. I'm not saying Jason. Anyway, Jacelyn. Um, and Nakia. Nakia. Okay, I got Nakia. Um, but yes, Nakia Smith. It's Charmaine is her handle on platforms as well. So Antoine Hunter, he is a deaf dancer. Jacelyn Fincher, she's known for she really a lot of her videos got viral from the sign language interpreting of songs and lyric videos, but she also is a model and does general like deaf awareness. And Antoine, he's an artist, he's an actor, um, and a producer, and he does a lot for deaf community as well. Like he made this whole art exhibit a few years ago, and you got to do this virtual tour of it from in California, and I forget like the names. I feel like I'm not using the right words, but like he does art exhibits. He's amazing. Um, and then Charmaine, she went viral for her work on advocating for Black ASL and advocating within Black deaf space. And she also does a lot of work in general, just deaf awareness, deaf culture. And so I love that for her as well. And so yeah, she is someone who, in my opinion, is key to preserving like deaf culture and sharing that, particularly when it comes to speaking on racism, right? Um, and so for me, I'm native descent, and so for my journey with sign language, that comes from the cultural eradication of Algonquian hand talk, right? And so from that evolution to where in the process of the cultural of assimilation of American Sign Language and with the sign language bans and the sign language quote unquote preservation and all of that, when you think of how the context of American Sign Language is itself a colonial language, that's where we then get into the divide where we have the Black ASL, which, you know, where it comes from this root in history where in the 1800s, National Association of the Deaf claimed to be the first human rights organization, but they didn't allow Black people in, right? And so this exclusion of Black deaf in deaf advocacy, I can't speak, is how we have Black ASL. Um, and so that is something that Charmaine went viral for speaking on and for sharing her story with her grandparents as well. Um, and these are all people who, in my journey in Deafhood, have really made me feel like these are people that I see who put respect on their culture and identity, who are proud of who they are, who know their history, understand the language. And it's just something that I respect a lot in the way that they represent this history through their creation. So yeah, today we're just I'm gonna roll my intro without further ado, and then I will walk you through some of their social media profiles. Please give them all a follow, and I will wrap up at the end with more about why you should go follow these people. So yeah, here we go. Hi, my name is Lexi, aka Deaf Child. I'm born deaf, hard of hearing. My team was one of the top teams between 2020 and 2024 in New Orleans and Louisiana. I began doing business as Deaf Child in 2013, marketing 2011, and sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales, and I have my Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. All right. So first up, I want to highlight um, Antoine Hunter. You can find him on TikTok at the Great Dancer Ah. AH stands for Antoine Hunter, I believe. Um, and so he identifies as African American, deaf dancer, artist, actor, producer, and I only I you know obviously I'm not the person to speak on this, so I'm just, saying where I am in my decolonizing journey is that I don't know shit about fuck. But I've recently been told, um, I'm I- I've been exposed to different information regarding the correct usage of cultural identity terms and what is the appropriate terms to use. Um, and so lately, something that has come up is use whether or not it's appropriate to say African American or black and things like that. And what I'm just gonna be doing is just using the terms that people identify as for them. Um, and if I ever say anything that's inappropriate, y'all let me know, and I'm gonna do my best to do better because I don't think I'm doing right. Right. I don't know. That doesn't make sense, does it? I don't know. I mean, I think I'm harmful. Okay, but so I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me, man. We're all just trying, I guess. But anyway, so um, he shares a lot of content about deaf awareness, general advocacy, general informing, and calling out deaf issues. For example, Keith Wan, he's a white hearing interpreter that tried to sue black deaf people. Oh, and he's also a CODA. And a CODA means child of deaf adult. And so this is why I say hearing people, your relationship to deaf community doesn't mean shit to us, okay? Like you don't get to say, "Oh, I'm a coda, so I'm part of." No, 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 no. You're not deaf community. You have a role in deaf community, but you don't speak for deaf people, right? And so he tried to claim that he was being discriminated against for being white because black deaf people wanted a black deaf interpreter for a black deaf interpretation on black deaf issues. And so yeah, that happened. And so here Antoine Hunter made a video about that. He makes videos here. You see, he makes video about how people use ASL and about cultural appropriation. Um, and so his whole platform is based on, his merchandise is deaf woke. His platform is based on that concept. Uh, Connecting the two when it comes to his intersectionality with showing, and I think that's, like a lot of people have that, like whenever you have these roles, like I'm mixed descent, white and native, I'm hard of hearing, right? Part deaf, part, and so in all of these roles, people are always telling me it's my job to bridge the communities, be the gap. People, that's what people have told me, and I can show evidence where people said this to me. These aren't things where I'm like, I need to do this. These are things people say, these are ideas I'm exposed to, right? Um, and so in that journey, I think anybody with an identity that comes to intersectionality, you don't really get to exist and advocate for yourself without having to speak on the connection of all of this if you're advocating for yourself. Otherwise, you end up having to assimilate into the cultural norms of what we are in, which is under the context of colonialism, typically colonial, right? Um, and so what I like about this is what I like about Antoine is he busts out of that. He doesn't try to conform to social norms. He is himself and he expresses himself through his art and invites you to come along into that journey. He doesn't um like he doesn't try to conform to the what other people expect of him. And so you see in 2023, he does all these performances. He'll be doing as a deaf dancer. He shows up. He performs in sign language as well. You can look here at this video, see him dancing. The way he incorporates sign language into his dancing as well. Um, I love it, and he provides an outlet for deaf community. I'm not logged in. I thought I was to have their own space, to have their own expression, to show we have our own existence in the music community as well. And so with him, you're not only going to get information about advocacy, information about deaf awareness, you're also going to get to see him just expressing himself, just doing his art, and just, being out there. And so you get a mix. You get story time, you get humor. Some of his stuff is in only American Sign Language. So for those of us that, know sign, that's going to be great. But a lot of it, he does do the translation with both. Um, and so I highly recommend checking him out. He's known for doing a lot of art exhibits. He does a lot of shows. So if you ever want to go see a deaf dancer, you're in the California area, definitely go see him. Um, and so yeah, and he's also on TikTok. Highly recommend giving Antoine Hunter a follow. Um, you're gonna find a lot of good shit, and I think it's just important for anybody who is in the deaf community, in the dance community, anybody who cares about Black deaf issues, to follow these types of creators, because in my opinion, this is how you're going to understand the lived experience of what people like Antoine Hunter go through, and how is he able to succeed and share his journey, and what advocacy the tools does he use to be successful despite oppression, and how is he able to keep kicking ass, you know what I'm saying? um and for me, I think it's the way he builds his community. Everything he does, he, in some ways, because it's his own journey, he is talking about and sharing his life, and you see him, right? But in other ways, he doesn't just promote himself. He's every step of the way promoting everybody else that he's in community with. And you really do see that on his profile. You see with all of the groups that he connects with, and the way he um, is able to make events happen by collaborating with others to produce an event, instead of just doing, like, he will do some events that he is the focus, but like a lot of his events, primarily, he's part of the event, but it's a collective experience. And I think that community connection is a big part of why he has been so successful, is the way he builds his community, and I think it's something you can learn from. um Next up, we have Jacelyn Fincher. Jacelyn, Jacelyn. It keeps putting Jason on the captioner. Um, and she posts a lot of content, particularly as it relates to being deaf and misperceptions of deafness, because a lot of people, they think, oh, if you can talk, or if you can dance, or if you can do anything, like, you're not deaf enough. And so what she does is break those barriers, by basically, like, letting you know, like, empowering, educating. um and she also does, like, just a lot of humor. She does a lot of pickup lines, a lot of sign videos, so you will get a good bit of deaf awareness in here, but it is going to be more focused on um just general content, general humor, general deaf inclusion in society, right? And I think that's also beautiful to see, because there isn't a lot of deaf representation out there, you know? Um, and so, yeah, particularly when it comes to the entertainment spaces and getting recognized as a model, those types of things are very hard to do. And it's even harder to do when you're deaf, because a lot of these things are such oral spaces that they don't set up to have accommodations for deaf people. And so when we have to ask for that access, it's because it's inconvenient for them. We're typically not given access. They go out of their way to just exclude us, right? And so the way she has been able to really put herself out there, the fuck, Instagram? It just did this on me. I don't know. But the way she really put herself out there and has been able to make a name for herself, and breaking through the mainstream society aspect of that, I think is really important for a deaf community, because that is how we're going to be able to see ourselves in these types of situations and see that we can do it too. Because I've had people tell me I'm not deaf enough because I'm quote unquote functional. What the fuck? You know what I mean? So yeah. And then Nakia, like I mentioned, did go viral over her advocacy regarding Black ASL and or BASL. I don't, you know what I mean? And so she is very strong in deaf community, and the reason she's like what she does is also so important, particularly in my opinion, is because, like I was saying, right, it's so hard to get deaf representation. Well, most deaf representation is incredibly white dominated and white centered because of how ASL is rooted in colonialism, is rooted in cultural eradication of Native people. It's rooted in the genocide of Native people. It's rooted in segregation of black deaf and white deaf, and so because of all of that, for Charmaine to be able to have gone viral, to have the mainstream access she has on the platforms such as Netflix, etc., to get to where she is, in my opinion, is huge for people to see themselves, for other people to be able to see someone that looks like them on screen. You know what I'm saying? Huge. Growing up, I didn't have that. Like, and I know it is a bit different now with internet and technology. So for the millennials, for us, I feel like millennials had even less deaf representation than, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha is going to have more deaf representation than Gen Z, and and millennials, we had more deaf representation than Gen X, but and so on and so forth. So every generation we get more representation, right? But what is that representation without inclusivity, right? And so that's why we need to make sure we're centering people like Nakia, make sure we're highlighting Antoine Hunter, make all of that, because so much of the deaf representation that has been mainstreamed up until this point is white focused. You've nothing against them, but it's everybody knows about Marilyn Manson and Troy Kotsur. Good for them, great people, but it's like that is the mainstream deaf perception, and that's what you see. And so if you're not only signing or white, people like they don't realize that's not the only deaf representation there is. You know what I'm saying? um and so yeah, I think that's why it's important. And with Nakia, she does a mix in her posts. So she does like her day-to-day living, shows you like just her general lifestyle content. But then she also does jokes in here. She does a lot of deaf advocacy. She's gonna be more focused on lifestyle content and advocacy content and more of a historical content, in my opinion, from how I perceive it. But you still will get every now and then you're gonna be getting some of those why the fuck is Instagram doing this to me? Every now and then you're going to be getting some of those like sign lyric videos. I've seen her do those before, and she'll do just general like deaf awareness trends and things like that too. So she does do a mix, and she does do like humor. She's funny, of course. But a lot of her content, in my opinion, is going to be more focused on the lifestyle and historical and advocacy and awareness content. And I think it's very important, particularly when it comes to the cultural preservation that she also basically promotes and goes out of her way to work to make sure other people um, or understand how to do for themselves, in my opinion. Um, and so let's just check out real quick. I want to show you this little video. We're going to watch it in just a second, where she does this little video introducing people in general to Black American Sign Language. And I think it's important for the historical documentation, because so many people don't know about it at all. And so that's how you make sure it doesn't get lost in history. And so on another level, I understand the need to gatekeep this, right? Like, um, I got into a fight with a white deaf woman because she was tagging It's Charmaine in a video, saying It's Charmaine needs to be teaching white deaf people Black ASL, and I was like, bitch, no, no, no. That is so inappropriate. It's demanding Black labor. It's this you're when a white person is trying to demand that a Black deaf person teach the white person the language that the Black deaf person that the Black deaf community had to create, because white deaf were excluding them from ASL. But now it's just hell no. Like, I don't, it's not even my place to speak on, but I just felt the need to point it out, because um that is still what Black deaf people are facing today. And because Nakia put herself on the forefront of it, that is, I feel she has been has been has to face, all of these people putting other expectations on her that she shouldn't have to face, in my opinion. But that is like what has happened. And I don't know if I'm using the right words, or if that's the right processing of this, or if I'm even the person who should process this. But, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But that's, like, just to say, like, my point being, Black deaf community likes to act like, okay, well, now Black deaf people know ASL, so segregation and racism within deaf community is over. But that's not true. And you can still see it today with the way white deaf people feel entitled to Black deaf culture, in my opinion. I don't know if that's appropriate for me to speak on, but that is something that you will see engaging in these spaces. It's something to process. I don't know if I should be speaking on it, but I do feel it's important to pay for us for it to be acknowledged that perhaps this is something where I can be learning more on. I don't know, but learning, processing our decolonizing journey and moments that stand out to us, right? At what point am I helpful or harmful? Because I could be helpful, I could be very harmful with this processing publicly, right? Even if I don't want to be harmful, I'm not negating if I am. I think I am, but you know what I mean? Anyway, I hope you still go follow Charmaine. And so in this article, Starmay talks about how the biggest difference between BASL and ASL is that BASL's got seasoning, and that their signing is more expressive and poetic. Um, Now, I will say, um, you know what? I have thoughts, right, about how ASL is a cultural appropriation of native hand talk, right? And so I just don't like comparing the two languages on that context, because um, I don't want to say anything that in any way, shape, or form can go back to talking down on the roots of indigenous culture tied into it, because it's the whitewashing of the indigenous culture, in my opinion, that's unseasoned, not the indigenous roots of the ASL, in my opinion. But yes, I see what they mean, and I agree with where they're going. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah. So African Americans weren't allowed access to any of the advancements in the hearing technology. And they could only refer to an original curriculum used by Thomas Hopkins Gallaudet. And so from that, Black ASL developed nuanced syntax, slang, idioms, and other language fundamentals that simply don't exist or function differently in ASL, giving the Black deaf community something unique. And that's until schools integrated, and then Black deaf students had to conform to ASL, because otherwise they wouldn't have access in that educational space. But instead of being welcomed into the broader community, Black deaf students were only further marginalized, mocked, and teased for having developed a separate language due to the racism forced upon them. So yeah. And now, many of the challenges faced are unchanged. In the United States, less Black people from the age of 25 to 64 are deaf. I think that it's not that less Black people are deaf. I think it's that less Black people are tested or given access the same accommodations as deaf people, in my opinion. But that's just my own opinion. But yeah. And it says, so when Black deaf people have to navigate places that already demonstrate unconscious bias against them, they find themselves facing a double language barrier as well. So this article, linked in the description of this video, everything's linked in the description of this video. And I just want to highlight, so this is where Nakia, you know what, I was going to watch that same video there, but maybe we'll be able, so this video is linked, the same video, I think this is the same video. Oh, or is this a different video? Okay, I was going to watch this video, but because it's so small, I think I'm going to watch this one instead. But there's a strong Black lead reel that is linked in the description of this video. I highly recommend you go check it out. It's just so tiny. Oh, you know what? I can zoom in. Okay. So here, Charmaine has one video about how to sign BASL. That's linked here. I might check that out. But you know what? Let's watch this one. So I'm just gonna fucking play this. I'm sorry, I'm weird. Okay, so that was just a promo for the Strong Black Lead Netflix video. I can't use my words, but still. So this says, meet Nakia Smith, aka Charmaine. She's the fourth deaf generation of 5 generations, and she is here to inject some knowledge in our veins about BASL. Its roots as part of the survival of Black deaf folks in this country, dating back to the 1800s. And how the dialect is so different, she said it got seasoning from standard ASL. Yes. And then here we also have, let's pull this up in YouTube. We also have the how to sign BASL Strong Black Lead. There's a bit of a longer video here on YouTube, so let's check this out. She's saying that was her sign name is Charmaine. She's 22 years old. She's the 4th deaf generation of 5 deaf generations. And this Black American Sign Language. Black American Sign Language is a dialect of American Sign Language. It's still a language. It was developed by Black deaf people in the 1800s and 1900s during segregation. that story and read that for you guys, share it for you guys, because she's really fucking awesome. And the way she's preserving her culture, the way she is advocating for her community is something I really fucking admire, because it, it's something that, I think gives anybody who's considering how to be better in community, could consider for how to support others, for understanding, preserving what is being oppressed, for understanding the like intersectionality between, um, just because you're marginalized in one way doesn't excuse your discrimination against people. You know what I'm saying? If you're still discriminating. Um, Things like that. And I understand with decolonizing that it's a learning journey. And because we are all assimilated under colonialism, we all, in our own ways, can have ways in which we have to unlearn the colonialism in which we were assimilated into. And so I think everybody can have their own um, boundaries for when they feel safe somewhere and what is good for them in community in that decolonizing journey. If they feel someone is working on themselves, if they feel a type of discrimination is something where we can get past that because we're all learning and doing better and you're going to do better. Or if it's something like, that's just the way you are, man. I can't fucking deal with that. Fuck that shit. You know what I mean? Um, so like for everybody that looks different, right? Because we all have different thresholds of what um is a safe environment for us, and for what does it mean to be doing better? What does accountability look like? What does reconciliation look like? And so whenever I see these creators who are able to, despite the oppression faced, are able to shine and thrive and show others what does accountability look like in their space, what does respect look like in their space, what does cultural preservation look like in their space. That is the template, that's the roadmap, that's the guide that all deaf community can then follow. I said guide, Guide, to G what Guide. Okay, I'm sorry, the fucking caption is not working. That's like the guide to get all deaf people in a place where we can see, okay, this is other people doing their damn thing, and we can too, in a way that's inclusive, right? No matter what background you come from. Um, because just because we have a different identity doesn't mean that we are less than, right? It's like, and none of us chose the fucked up systems that brought us into this world. And so for me, I don't place, you know, blame on people who didn't choose things, right? It's about, what do you do with understanding the system you're in, even if you didn't choose it? What do you do with that information, understanding the impact and the harm, right? So what I mean is, like white deaf people, they'll be like, well, we're not the ones who stopped you from learning sign language. We didn't have power, but yet we still excluded them, right? We did. And so, you know what I mean? Um, and I don't mean like we, like the people here, we, well, some of us here, unless that does apply to you, we, then you know who to, but even still, it's like, even if that wasn't us, we, I'm making no sense. Then the people who, then us that are here now, you know what I'm saying? We still benefit from what our ancestors did, right? And so that's where people have this disconnect, where it's just like, well, why should I have to stop causing the harm that my ancestors started if I didn't start the harm? Because you're still perpetuating it. That's my point. If you're still perpetuating the harm of your ancestors, you don't get to blame your ancestors for the harm you're still causing. You know what I'm saying? And so I also feel like that's another point where we can take from these deaf creators is understanding intersectionality, understanding how our lineage brought us here and understanding who we are today. How can we build community? How can we look at the community we have and are brought up into in order to understand how to be better, do better, and support each other? And so, to that regard, please go follow these badass deaf creators. They're all amazing. Jacelyn is amazing. Antoine is amazing. Nakia is amazing. Um, I said Jacelyn, not Jason. Um, Fucking go follow these deaf creators, linked in the description of this video. You're gonna be able to see lifestyle content, deaf awareness content, intersectionality shit, all of that, from humor to um, just understanding how to be better in our deaf journey and your connection to deaf people. I think it's just all good to consider. So yeah, let that marinate. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you. I'm going to end this live stream now because I feel crazy. And you are awesome. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.